Hello, welcome to July 10th, 2023. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation video. This is an exercise that I do each and every morning, a little bit after waking up. It's now 4:42 a.m. I do this in order to do 5 things. 1, I read a poem. 2, I think about the last 24 hours, including last night, and how I did with the objectives and principles that I laid out for myself, those which are enumerated in my book, Going Alone. I then enumerate those objectives and principles categorically. I then think about the coming day. In particular, I try to foresee whatever challenges and opportunities might lay ahead in the next 24 hours and steal and prepare myself for the unexpected. I then conclude by asking myself if I'm ready to die. Let's begin. First, poem. We'll read yesterday's poem, and then we'll read a new poem. I like to reread yesterday's poem just to get it one last time, because sometimes letting it simmer in my brain for 24 hours after studying it helps. This is from John Keats, Nebuchadnezzar's Dream. Before he went to live with owls and bats, Nebuchadnezzar had an ugly dream, worse than a housewife's when she thinks her cream made a pneumatia for mice and rats. So scared, he sent for that good king of cats, young Daniel, who did straightway pluck the beam from out his eye, and said, I do not deem your scepter worth a straw, your cushions old doormats. A horrid nightmare, similar somewhat, of late has haunted a most valiant crew of loggerheads and chapmen, we are told, that any Daniel, though he be a sot, can make their lined lips turn pale of hue by drawling out, ye are not that head of gold. Of course, that one requires, look at yesterday for the study, but that one requires a really good understanding of both the Bible's Old and New Testament, particularly the book of Daniel. Very good. For today's poem, we're going to read Apollo to the Graces. A couple of things that I had to study. First, I had to study who Apollo was. Well, I knew Apollo was a Greek god. I just didn't know much about him. It turns out he's got lots of associations, and he's very important. He's the god of the sun, riding a chariot across the sky. This will make sense in the poem when he talks about the morning. He's also god of various other things, including a war and inspiration, creativity, a lot of other things. The Graces, and he's the son of Zeus. The Graces are the daughters of Zeus by a different mother. Both Apollo and the Graces are the children of Titanesses, different women, or different goddesses. The Graces could be identified as the Muses, really. And they have characteristics, I can't quite recall what they are, beneficence of some sort, grace and beauty and charm, something like that. So anyway, this poem, Apollo is setting off on the morning, setting off on the day, and inviting which of the 3 Graces will join him as he explores the world in the course of the daylight hours. And in particular, and there's another concept in there, autumn, I had to look up, because its autumn is identified here with capital letter, and so that it's personifying in some way. So I looked up to see if autumn had some significance, which I'm sure it did, in Greek tradition, and it does. Autumn is seen as the time of harvest and bounty, time for festivals, time for giving thanks. Also, more Greek mythology there associated with the goddess and her daughter, who the daughter was taken away to the Hades underworld. Zeus intervened, and then she was her mother being the goddess of agricultural plenty or the seasonal bounty, and who fell into such grief that she withdrew her charms upon the world, which brought winter. Zeus intervened and negotiated that the daughter would spend one third of the year in Hades, which would be winter, and that when she returned to her mother in spring, the bounty would return, and when she went back to Hades in the autumn, bounty would withdraw, explaining the seasons. Very nice. Okay, here we go. Apollo to the Graces. Apollo. Which of the fairest three today will ride with me? My steeds are all pawn on the thresholds of morn. Which of the fairest three today will ride with me across the gold autumn's whole kingdoms of corn? The Graces all answer, I will, I. O young Apollo, let me fly along with thee. I will, I. The many, many wonders see. I. And thy lyre shall never have a slackening string. I. Through the whole day will sing. Now, Apollo, I forgot to mention, is also the god of music, and he's the inventor of the lyre, the stringed instrument. And it's interesting that the muses, the Graces, mentioned that here. We'll read it again tomorrow morning. Enough for poetry for today, for the morning at least. How about yesterday and last night? Yesterday was a fine day. Let's say I would say, what I typically do on Sundays is I surprise my wife with breakfast somewhere. I pick a place and I take her, and I like to surprise her with, she doesn't know where we're going to go or what we're going to eat. And I've been trying to expand my scope, going further afield than the beach cities here. And yesterday I took her to a place in Anaheim, which happened to be right next to Disneyland, which happened to be right next to I think it's the Westin Hotel, where all the national volleyball teams were staying for the international volleyball competition that's going on right now. So we went to a place called Blossom. It was so. It was all right. It wasn't like really the best, but it was an experience. Kind of right next to the hotel, and we were surrounded by volleyball players, men's volleyball players, big, hulking, beautiful men, if I do say so. The French team was especially impressive, sitting right next to us there outside with smoking their little hand-rolled cigarettes. Athletes in their cigarettes. No wonder the U.S. beat them. They beat them the day before yesterday. They were playing Germany yesterday. Anyway, it was a good experience, and I learned a lesson. The lesson being, if not sounding like I've got prejudice, that the best restaurants, in fact, the best scenes in general, tend to be along the coast. So I don't think I'll be going very far inland outside of the marine layer from this point forward on my Sunday lunches with Yumiko. Other than that, it was a fine day. Came home, and I spent practically the whole day sitting in the garden, finishing 2 Years Before the Mast, which I really enjoyed. One of the best books I've ever read. Very good. Had a couple of nice walks with Yumiko. I didn't go to the beach. I decided to just sit and read all afternoon. Good choice. Preparation for old age. Now let's do the good life. The good life consists of 7 objectives as follows. 1, to be always ready to die. 2, to make good and effective use of time. 3, to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. 4, to cultivate good emotional reactions. 5, to perform good actions. 6, to recognize my true limits and my true opportunities. And 7, to do just one thing at a time, and do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully. By the way, these 7 objectives and the 34 principles that I'm just about to enumerate are listed in my book, Going Alone, available on Amazon.com. The 34 principles are war, reason, homunculus, anchorhold, home of good and evil, purpose, atomic principle, principle of nature, the pirate ride, maturity, social principle, principle of family, public speaking. Temperance, life will not go well. The horror show. That which must be born. The feast of offal. Distraction. Agency and the great indifference. The best seat in the house. The restless man. The path of wildness. The great life adventure. The risk of avoiding risk. Sin and damnation. Complete oblivion. The bullseye. The season of philosophy. Script writing. The bullseye aim. The uphill climb. Arena and utility. Nothing is enough. And the principle of fun. I think I got them all. Stumbled there a couple times. Okay, next, let's forecast the day. It's a Monday, day of work. I've got a good body of work ahead of me. Got training this week for one of my projects. So can't forget about that. Yeah, 13th on, what is that, Wednesday? Looking forward to that. What else? Forecasting challenges. Just kind of work hard, and I will. All right, that's it. Last thing I need to do is to ask myself if I'm ready to die. That means that I have to have 3 things in order. 1, my affairs need to be in order. 2, my relationships need to be in order. And 3, my life's work needs to be settled. Are my affairs in order? Not quite. I still have to print up my YouTube account information to include that with all the important documents for my wife. Well, why? Who cares about YouTube? Well, my YouTube accounts generate revenue, and so I need to make sure that Yumiko and Emily can access that information, including my AdSense account, if they want to manage that information, because it's an ongoing stream of revenue that just keeps coming in, and they should access that. 2, my relationships. Yep, there's that. Oh, and then I need to finish my will. Amazing that I still don't have that. I need to write that up and put that aside. And there's that document, what is it called? Document about my last what I want to done if I'm mortally wounded or incapacitated. There's that document. I can't remember what it's called. I need to work on that. Then I need to, my relationships are all good. I called my wife, my mother, I had a good talk with her yesterday. That was good, so I settled that. I'm settled with everybody. And then my life's work is definitely complete. Going home is done. Cherry on the top. That's it. And I'm going to finish. I wish you all the best. Be safe, but not too safe. And with that, my life is done, if not finished. See ya.